Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. This is a pretty decent sized week, and I was thankfully able to read it quickly enough to get this video out, so let's jump into it. So I usually flip through my comics before I start reading, sort of give myself a quick trailer, but I think I flipped through this 3 times before I realized that it's all ads, and that's not really true. There is story in here, it's just not... It's hard to describe this, and it's honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But instead of being a continuation of the story from the previous 2 issues, because this is number 3, this is basically a pamphlet, Witchcraft for Children, and there are articles, there's haikus in here, but it's basically sort of a kids magazine, and there's a bunch of these, like I'm saying, ads for mail-away items. There is an article in here, Craft Camp, so it is more of the story. It's just, this is one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen. Yeah, I was just in Estes Park. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. It's ambitious, to say the least. I'm just going to say it. You should not waste your time or money on Challenge of the Super Sons. It's not good. I've got here the previous issue. So it starts out pretty standard DC art, and midway through it switches to this animated cartoonish style that's really terrible. Where is it? Look at that Damien face. Do they even know Damien? Yikes. Anyway, that art is all of this issue. And you can see how much it even contrasts with the cover. I mean, I'm used to the cover artist being different than the interior artist, but this is just not good. The story is also not great. So, if you're interested in the Super Sons or Tomasi's far superior Superman work, go read that. Do not waste your time with Challenge of the Super Sons. Primordial, number 1. This is by Lemire and Sorrentino, same team that did Gideon Falls. I read maybe 10 issues of Gideon Falls and then stopped. It just wasn't. Horror's never really been my thing, and it was good. It didn't hook me. Primordial, I think, is a planned 5-issue series. I'd have to double check that. And this is an alternate history of the space program. The US and Russia initially, before humans, shot a couple of animals into space. This is what happened to those animals. It is really well done. I don't think... I'm just the panel layouts. This is really good. Recommended. CAMPISI, I talked about it in one of my first videos. This is issue 2. It is mobsters and dragons. And again, that either is something that catches your interest or doesn't. Here, you can take a look at the art quickly. I very much enjoy this. This issue takes what was set up from the first issue and escalates several different conflicts that are brewing. It's really well done. I like it. Recommended. Bermuda, issue 3 of planned 4-issue series. This gives us a bit of history of the island, and out of context completely sets up the finale next issue. Just look at... Where is it? Just look at that. I mean, that's really something. This is really good. There's so many factions on this island and so much time devoted to setting all of it up, establishing who they are and why. It feels like kind of a waste that issue 4 is going to be the finale. I'm still hoping that we get something more from this, maybe a follow-up series. Superman and the Authority, obviously issue 3 of 4. There's a lot that happens in this issue, so they wanted to pick up another team member, and We also get the establishment of the villains of the series. I think there are 3, if I'm counting correctly. 4, if you count the one at the beginning. But the team still hasn't been fully formed yet, and here they get split up. So I think next issue they might be on their own dealing with all of this. I don't know how they're going to come back together, but it's good. I really like it. I keep telling people about homesick pilots. It's one of the craziest concepts that I've ever encountered. The series starts with a sort of battle of the bands and a haunted house and some murdered teenagers, and by now there is going to be next issue. Just quickly look at this, right? Next issue, there's going to be a ghost-possessed mech fighting a haunted house. Like, how does that not pique your interest? What more do I need to tell you? Just look at this art. Look at that. This is an incredibly good series. Highly recommended. Both story, art, all of it, fantastic. I think I bought this on accident. I was trying to order the collection, the trade of 1957, and instead I got this one-shot, Family Ties. It's really good. Don't get me wrong, I was trying to get the collection, because I think 57, if I'm remembering correctly, is a series of one-shots, not a miniseries like some of the other HELLBOY and the B.P.R.D. miniseries have been. This is really good, though. The thing that gets me, and this is a perfect example, is I wish some of the events and characters that are referenced here had editor notes about the things that they're referencing and when those took place. And I think that's the one thing that I miss about modern comics, that when I was reading New Warriors, which I don't think that video has gone up yet, but I was reading some 90s comics, and those are really good about referencing back, making notes to previous events and telling you when they happened so that you could, either refresh your memory or go read those issues. And especially with HELLBOY and B.P.R.D, that most of it's told non-sequentially, and the series has been going for so long that it would be helpful. That's all I'm saying. So I initially dismissed Stray Dogs. I think possibly because of the art style, but also I just don't care about dogs. I have a friend that is currently on his way home after buying a new puppy. He's been sending me pictures for weeks, and I don't respond to any of it. So he asked me about that, and I just said I am indifferent towards dogs. I do not give a shit. This book, despite all of that, made me feel things. This is really powerful stuff. It's very well told, and the art style is reminds me of All Dogs Go to Heaven. I think I'm not the only one that has mentioned Don Bluth-ish. It's really good, and it goes against the darkness of the story, which I don't remember how much I said initially from the Free Comic Book Day issue, but I'm not going to spoil it here. It's just really good, and I highly recommend getting it. It is not for the faint. Heartbreaking. It's good. Recommended. That's all I'm going to say. So that's everything I bought this week. It was a really good week for comics. If I had to pick something as the book of the week, I'd probably go with Homesick Pilots. It's really close with Primordial, but Homesick Pilots has some momentum going behind it based on previous issues. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend getting the first trade. So it collects, obviously, the first 5 issues. It's really good. Recommended. Also Primordial. I wound up getting a lot of first issues, and I initially was going to skip this just because, again, I think because of Gideon Falls, I didn't think this was going to be for me, but it's really good. Super good. I am skipping May's book just because I know I'm going to buy the hardcover anyway. It's the only, I think, Lemire series that I'm skipping at the moment. But both of these, great. But really, it's a whole week's worth of good books. And Stray Dogs, again, get this book. I picked all of these up from my local comic shop. If you don't have one or you don't know where the nearest one is to you, you can use this URL to find it.